Cardinals Traps are picking 23rd overall. We have to assume that they will get Kyler Murray in the fold or figure out the Kyler Murray situation and get him back. What do you think their needs are? Where could they go with that early pick?
I have 3 needs outlined for them as the most pressing. I think edge rusher after losing Chandler Jones seems pretty obvious. When you do one of those mock draft simulators, and there's like 50 sites that have them now, and you put like trades on, a lot of times the computer
Traps got kicked out. So Josh, your thoughts on the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, so I'm looking at cornerback, which I think Traps was talking about a little bit there. Edge rusher, offensive guard, just that offensive line in general, I think is an area where they could upgrade. So a few names that I'm looking at in the first round. You've got Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. I think his floor is probably number 31 overall to Cincinnati because I think they would be foolish not to take him if he was available there. I also see Dallas as possibly being of interest. Arizona, of course, as I just mentioned. And then there's a few other teams as well, but I don't think he's going to get past number 31. I think that Linderbaum is a good fit for them. I look at Trent McDuffie, really any of those cornerbacks, Trent McDuffie being a cornerback from Washington. And then you've got Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson. You've got Kaiir Elam from Florida, Kyler Gordon from Washington. All of those are cornerbacks that the Cardinals could be interested in. And then edge rusher. I mean, you move on from Chandler Jones. You lost Hassan Reddick a year prior. So there's a need for that in the organization. I look at Boye Mafe from Minnesota. David Ojabo would have been an option if he, had not suffered his injury. I think he's unlikely to go in the first round at this point. But those would be the biggest, I think, targets of interest for this franchise as we approach draft day.
I'm so used to like my browser crashing just because it's Chrome and this iMac it could crash right now for all I know. I'm so used to it crashing that if it crashes, I'm like, all right, reboot and like see what happens. I'm curious, Traps, what's your level of panic when you crash out of a live stream and you're having trouble getting back in?
If it would be anyone else, it would be a lot of panic, but I know how chilled out this podcast is.
As a compliment.
And I think this solidifies it that Steve Keim is watching this live right now because I was mentioning that when I do the mock draft simulators, and I'm obviously not picking for the Cardinals, I just let them run sometimes. And a lot of times, if you have trades on, the Cardinals are a team trading up to land an edge rusher like Jermaine Johnson, or if Kayvon Thibodeau falls. I could see that happening because I think that's their biggest need. But I got kicked out, but I was still able to hear Josh. And I think the players that he referenced, if they stay put at 23, Boye Mafe, a few others, cornerback certainly a need. And then I wonder about offensive line. That Cliff Kingsbury has kind of said like, hey, our system, we really don't need a great offensive line because Kyler Murray's going to get it out quick. He knows this system like the back of his hand. But then you look at their offensive line roster and you're like, man, it probably would help Kyler Murray to not have to run around like Mario back there as much if the offensive line was a little bit better. Like I think DJ Humphries is a good left tackle. I don't think he's great. And yes, I know that the NFC lost a lot of talent. It's watered down this year, but it wouldn't, I think, be the worst idea. It would actually be pretty prudent for the Cardinals to say, hey, look, we thought that we can just field an average offensive line and be fine. But then we have Aaron Donald in our division. We now, have a lot of other quality pass rushers to face every year. Maybe we do need some offensive linemen. So it might not be edge rusher or corner, which are more pressing needs.
Yeah. I mean, I got no problem if you want to shore up anything around Kyler Murray. Like you're not going to take a running back in the first round, I don't think. But I mean, like James Conner's a nice player, but to expect him to just be a full-blown feature back is kind of wild. And they lose Christian Kirk. There's lots of things they could do. And plus, like, throw your dude a bone when he's taking he's taking your pick. He's whatever the de-Instagramification of one's profile is. Like you could throw Kyler a bone and be like, Kyler, look, we got this for you because we love you and we want to pay you. Just quit being a petulant little millennial.